Well, good morning. We're out on our Thursday morning bike ride, which is actually going to be changing pretty soon, as is the Talk at 10. We haven't come up with a new name for the new thing, have we?
No, we're thinking. We're trying to decide what time would be best for everybody, like 5, 6, 7 in the evening.
What do you guys think about 6 o'clock? Does that give people time to get off of work and either be prepping dinner or whatever? If you have any input, put it in the comments below. But today, going to let Jessica talk a little more about just the current state of what she's seen in healthcare.
Oh, my last weekend. I spent the weekend in the ICU unit. We're not even going to talk about whether they were vaccinated or unvaccinated because really that shouldn't really affect the care that they receive. But I will talk to how sad it was walking through the unit, and that's 12 hours. So we spend 12 hours with these patients, and usually we have two. A lot of our nurses had 3, and that's really bad. There were, I think, 8 vented patients, and usually they only take 1 vented patient, and there was a lot of them that had 2. But we won't talk about why that is either. But I will talk about what I noticed with every single one of them is they weren't old. They were 20s, 30s, 40s, and early 50s. But they did seem to have one thing in common, and that was diabetes or high blood sugars or newly diagnosed diabetics because they didn't even know they were diabetics. And these people weren't obese, most of them. I'm not saying all of them. Most of them looked just like me and you, and they looked healthy. So that was super sad. So I came home and I was like, that's actually kind of really scary. COVID scares me with more for other people. I wash my hands and try to take care of myself. But I don't know why people still can't seem to understand that food is either your friend or your enemy, and blood sugar seems to be where it's at.
And that kind of goes along with the research. The research is showing that people who have uncontrolled blood sugars or comorbidities related to high insulin resistance. You have to remember, insulin is a very pro-inflammatory hormone. It's a very anabolic hormone. And when that is out of range, and so what is the optimal range? If you get a fasting insulin, your insulin should be between 3 and 4. And if it's definitely above a 6, you need to do some changes. If it's below, or if it's in that 3 to 4 range, great. But if it's above 6, definitely, um, you need to do some work on that because bacteria grow in the sugar. I mean, it feeds everything. It feeds cancer. It's an anabolic hormone, and anabolic is means growth. And so when we see that, your immune system doesn't get a chance. And when you have constantly high blood sugars, you're constantly going in and scarring veins and arteries and stuff like that. And we just don't know, with everything that we're introducing into the body, how high blood sugars and the new introduction of things, how those things are going to affect us long term. Uh, and so it is it's a very sketchy time, to say the least. So if you don't know the things that you're doing, if you don't know, what your fasting insulin is, and these guys are doing one of the best things that you can do for blood sugars. Morning. One of the best things you can do for blood sugar is exercise. But also, if you follow us on Facebook and Instagram or Twitter, you'll see that I posted a thing today about doing. One of the a healthy lifestyle. There is no there's nothing negative about it. I mean, you can still enjoy, possibly. You got to see where you're at, but you can still enjoy a questionable meal. Say, you could still at times do things, and it's not going to hurt you as bad as if you do those things all the time.
Yeah,
And
they're treats.
we in America have the ability to live like no one else in no other time, because we can sit there and we can eat high sugar, high fat foods 24/7. We can go buy 200 calories, 200 empty calories on the corner market, and it does nothing. It doesn't feed our microbiome, it doesn't feed our body. It does satisfy that frontal cortex, which loves sugar, and you eat it and you get that momentary hit of dopamine. But you got to remember that's also like a recreational drug. When you hit it the one time, the next time you hit it, it takes more and it takes more. Why have we seen sodas go from that big to now 32 ounces? And our food is nutritionally depleted. So we're looking at things that we've never had to face or even think about, which are attacking our health. And it attacks it at a very, very foundational level. And we will not come back from this. This is why we see people who are young dying of clots. And you know, I do have my theories on that. But, we have all kinds of people that are really young having things that didn't happen in people until they were 60, 70, 80 years old.
Yeah, they're throwing clots. Well, and COVID isn't bringing people in and putting them straight on a ventilator. These people were at home trying to care for themselves and their families for 8, 10, 12 days. And it was their secondary infections that brought them in, which was the pneumonias and the sepsis. And they're coming in very, very sick. So the units are full. Each unit was full of COVID patients, and they all had oxygen or vapotherm, which is pressurized oxygen. And they're presenting sicker, and they're filling up the units, and they're not old people anymore. We shipped a child, and that child was morbidly obese with blood sugar issues. But that seems to be the common theme. Blood sugar running second is hypertension, and it just seems really simple to me. If we could just eat better, and processed food is just killing us.
Yep, from the inside out. And here's what I tell my patients: if you pick up something in a box or a can and it has more than 3 ingredients, my camera's backwards, that throws me. If it has more than 3 ingredients, then you got a problem with it, and you probably shouldn't eat it. Also, if you pick up a package and it only has 3 ingredients and the first ingredient is sugar, you probably shouldn't eat it either, at least not regularly. So,
Well, and I mean, we're not perfect. We eat our treats too, and we like to go out to eat a nice meal, but we're really picky about where we eat our meals. And we ask questions once we get there. And I'm pretty sure we've probably eaten a chocolate bar or something, but those are treats, and we try to look at the ingredients list, and nobody's perfect, and food is just cheap, and a lot of times people just say they can't afford to eat better, but you know, we grow a garden and we share.
well,
People share with us. Like, you just gotta really just think about what it is you're doing and
the not
try
being
to do
able
the
to,
best you can. And we always say, you know, you can either pay for it on the front end or the back end, but eventually you'll pay for it. And unfortunately, junk food is really cheap.
well, and that's just it. You do either pay for it on the front end or the back end. If you eat highly refined foods and you take the cheap way now, you will pay for it in medications. It depends on your genetics. You know, my genetics will make me get diabetes and be 300 pounds and I will die from the inside out that way. And I've watched my dad go. I've watched my mom just out of the blue go. And it's not, well, I shouldn't say out of the blue. Looking back at it, I can tell why. She thought she was doing the right thing by eating margarine and low fat foods and trying to use the diet foods. And she wasn't obese by any means. She just wanted to be healthy. And she used artificial and fake foods and paid the price for it.
Well, we've talked a lot about in our last ones your supplements and getting out. You got to get outside. COVID doesn't live outside where the ultraviolet light, the rays are. You got to sit out in the sun. You got to get vitamin D. Vitamin D is so important. Vitamin C, zinc. There's a few things that just keep repeating itself through this pandemic. And I mean, COVID is absolutely real. You just have to be smart about it. You can't stop living your life. Wash your hands, get outside, exercise, even if it's just walking, and you start little and you get bigger. And I hear people say, oh, I could never do that. Well, 2 months ago I wasn't able to ride 3 miles, and now I'm riding 30 plus miles, and we do that a couple times a week. But even if we don't do anything, we still get out and ride those 3 miles, or we walk half a mile so the daughter can ride the bike.
Oh yeah, we're just hanging out.
The point is just you got to be aware, get up, get out, get moving, supplement if you don't get enough. Most people don't get enough vitamin D, and Trevor can talk to the cytokine storm, which is what brings these people into the emergency rooms and ends them up on a ventilator. And if you have sufficient vitamin D levels, you can't have a cytokine storm, so you won't have that process going on in your body. But vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc.
Well, and just think about the things you can eat: mushrooms and onions and garlic and Brussels sprouts and all kinds of things will help with that, modulating that. Mushrooms are immunomodulatory. If you're having a questionable diet, actually Metagenics came out with what they call an immune pack, and that is totally targeted to the the cytokine storm, to the things that they have seen help COVID patients. You can go on to metagenics.com and use the T. Miller practitioner code, and that will allow you to order their immune pack, and that's all pre-packed. So, if you're not doing right, and you have to remember, those are supplements.
Well, and you don't even know. A lot of people don't even know if they're doing right. So, right or wrong or indifferent, like, you don't know until you don't know.
Yep.
But COVID is real, and it's here, and I don't think it's going to go away.
It's not.
But you're going to move through it just like the flu season and the RSV season. But then I think a lot of them say you don't really have a flu season or an RSV season. You have a low vitamin D season, but that's what we can help you with supplements and to help you learn to do better with that. But if you have chronic diseases, polycystic ovarian disease, diabetes, hypertension, and you're ready to make a commitment to yourself, then we are here to help you.
We're going to get back at it. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for taking this time to look into the health of you and your loved ones. This broadcast does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship. It is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a replacement or substitute for care. If you are having issues, please seek a qualified professional trained in functional medicine. We would be happy to be of assistance with both in-person and virtual consultations. Thank you.